again. Okay, we'll fire off. Just a reminder that this video conference meeting is open to the press and public via YouTube, and yeah, everything you say will be recorded. Thank you. Okay, move on to the agenda. Welcome everyone to our meeting, our planning meeting of the 7th of December. As you notice, I'm sitting in the chair today. Unfortunately, Councillor Hanlon has been taken unwell, so wish him all the best. Okay, apologies for absence, please, Colin.
Councillor Hanlon and Councillor Lucarini.
Thanks, Vicky. Okay, item 3, declarations of pecuniary interest and requests for dispensations. I'd just like to declare a non-pecuniary interest on item 1 as I am related to the applicant. I still chair that agenda item, but I won't vote. Any others, please? No. Okay. Item 4, minutes of the previous meeting. Proposer and seconder to accept the minutes of the previous meeting held on the 23rd of November. Bruce? This is a proposer. Dave, seconder. Show of hands, please. It's unanimous. Thank you. Okay. Should we just go through those minutes just to see if there's any points on those, Colin or Vicky?
I will try to put them up on the screen.
Yeah, if you could, you can do, can you, please?
Well, I'll try.
You try it. So the first page is 256.
Just bear with me. Can you see them?
Yeah, we can now. Thanks, Vicky. Yeah.
Thank you.
So page 256, page 257, page 258, page 259, page 260, and page 261. Any comments, queries, questions, etc.? No. Okay, we'll move on to matters of arising. Have we got any action or outstanding items from the minutes from the last agenda? Vicky, do you know?
No, I don't think so.
No. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Item 6. That's a tree preservation order in the car park at Chauntry Mills, High Street, Haverhill, Suffolk. I'll just read this out as it is. Town and Country Planning Act 1990, as amended. Town and Country Planning Tree Preservation England Regulations 2012. Tree Preservation Order TPO/003 2021. And that's just to note confirmation of the order. Do you want any comments on that, Vicky, or is it just for noting?
I think it's just a note and they come through, so I thought you would like to see them.
Yeah, thank you. Anyone got any comments at all on that? No. Thank you. Item 7 is for members of the public to speak on planning matters other than applications before the working party. Do we have any members of the public, Vicky? That's Anne. You're going to speak when it comes up to that item on the agenda, yeah? Okay, thank you. Yeah. Evening, Michael and Christine. Well, I've seen Michael. Okay. So if you haven't got any members of the public wishing to speak or anyone else, we'll move on to item 8, which is to consider planning applications to West Suffolk Council. I'll just invite any members of the public who wish to address the working party in relation to a planning application to speak of the working party, considering each application in turn. So when we get to the item that you wish to speak to, I'll let you speak first, and we'll hopefully go through all your points. Thank you. Okay. First item is plan number DC/21/1926/HH, and it's cladding to first floor elevations, Mr. Nicholas Gant, 23 Boxford Court. Anyone like to speak on that? Jason?
Proposed neutral, Chair.
Proposed neutral. Anyone else like to speak on that? Or second? Dave? You second that? Show of hands, please. Yeah, that's a unanimous neutral there.
Sorry, I missed who seconded.
Yeah, Councillor Smith, Dave Smith.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 2, which is DC21/2275/P3CMA, and that's prior approval application under Part 3 of the Town and Country Planning General Permitted Development Order 2015. A change of use from commercial business and service to Class E dwelling houses, Class C3B, part conversion of retail unit to 5 apartments with 1 retail unit remaining. And that's a Mr. Gray, and that's 1 to 3, the High Street. Councillor Crooks, first.
Yeah, I think we should object. What the retail unit that will remain is just too small to be any good for anything, and so I believe we should object. And units 1 and 2 should be retail. So it's units 1 and 2 shouldn't be residential. That should remain retail, and essentially it's the whole of the retail unit that Argos used to have. But what is proposed is just too small. I can't see anyone could make any good of it. What is left, unless other councillors disagree. Thank you.
Thanks, Jason. John? Awesome. Yeah, John, and then David.
Let me just say there is quite a lot of interest from market traders over that small retail unit, and they're in contact with the owners already about whether that I mean, maybe they might want bigger, right? But they're certainly interested in that. But my problem is this is a slightly changed. They, for some reason, and I don't know why they did it, they withdrew the other application, which we'd already commented on, and they brought this in. I can't really see any major differences between the old and new, remembering this is for vulnerable people. And I think, first of all, the places they only just meet minimum space standards. But of course, you know, if you look down there the other day, when I looked out on Friday night, it's just like a junkyard down there. There's mess everywhere. There's no guarantee of parking either at the back. If there's going to be any disabled people in there, they won't have a chance with a wheelchair because just not the doors and everything, just not wide enough. You know, highways will obviously talk about, first of all, they'll say, we know what they'll say, and I'm not even certain they get consulted because this is a prior development. All they're doing is asking for basically the legal document. Highways will just say, well, it's in the town centre, that's fine, but we must have cycle racks. Not taking account of the people who are scheduled to be in there. I think it's overdevelopment for that area. I think the rooms need to be bigger. You know, these are vulnerable people. They could be autistic. They could be anything. It's not the ideal site as far as I'm concerned. I think it's just taking advantage of something. I'm not saying it's going to bring anything to the town centre economy at all. Jason may be right about the retail. I don't know, but I would look at those sizes and everything and think about who's going to be going in there. Thank you.
Dave, Councillor Smith.
Yeah, I think the whole thing is very contrived. It just squeezing units in there, really. If it is to be for disabled and they are physically disabled people, then chances are they will need, they will have disabled vehicles or have recourse to use disabled vehicles. So they must need parking spaces. The retail unit, there doesn't seem to be any welfare. What do you call it? Facilities for the workers in the shop unit. It's just an open space. There's no, unless they just haven't put the details in, there's no toilets, there's no wash basins, there's nothing. It's just an empty shell. So yeah, put them in and there's not going to be much retail left, is there?
No. Anyone else would like to make any comments? No. So we've got a proposal from Councillor Crooks to object. We got any one to second that? Councillor Liz Smith. And obviously for all the reasons that are mentioned, Vicky, you got most of those down, have you? Yeah. Okay. Can we have a show of hands, please? Yeah, that's unanimous. Thank you. Okay, item 3, which is DC/21/1452/RM, reserve matters application pursuant to hybrid planning permission SE/09/1283 for sports pitches together with associated open space, means of enclosure, play equipment, changing room facilities and areas for car parking and cycle parking and discharge of conditions B9 and B10 of outline planning permission in regards to vehicle movements, parking and highways, these details. And that's Mr. Isaac Jolly of Persimmon Homes. And that's land northwest of Haverhill and Saplings Lane, Little Ratting. I think Brad and Anne, or would you like to speak? Anne, would you like to speak? Thanks.
Okay, thank you for letting us come and talk again, and thank you to Joe for alerting us to this happening again. And unfortunately, I hadn't had a lot of time to look at it till last night and today. But apparently, you know, if you look at the new plan, there isn't any changing room now or any toilets. We've looked at it, and I think we've actually forwarded something to you. I don't know if you've had time to digest it, but our objections and what we thought was good. The only thing we thought was good was it actually put some more landscaping in with some underplanting, which is a really, really welcome. We've now rotated the football pitch, so it's a larger pitch with a smaller pitch inside. When we looked at that, it completely dominates the area. And I do believe there's been another objection online about the fact it's on a slope. There are no toilets. It's no changing room. I think we accept we don't really need a changing room, but we felt you know, that would be a great asset to the area to have the toilet. Our concern is that it doesn't really address the whole needs of a community that doesn't have many green spaces. It's dominated by a football pitch and a small squeezed area with play equipment. And I don't think that's changed from the last time we spoke. Just it's now inside either. And you know, what Sports England, and Mike's done a lot of work on this, have said, you know, this is not what's needed for this area. There are enough football pitches, it needs maintenance, etc., etc. And I don't know, you probably haven't had time to read what I've said, but you know, as a prior teacher, I know that it is dominated by boys. If you look at what's there for girls, very little. And I think we need to look at that as, why on earth can it not be a common communal green space that can be flexible in its usage for lots of people, including adults. There's nothing there for adults at all. There's no gym equipment. And, you know, I think there's no picnic tables, there's nowhere for people to meet. One of the things we noticed in lockdown, people sitting by the grass verges in the fields by the mud. And I did it myself with my grandchildren, trying to have a picnic. Now, I can do that at my house, I've got a bit of a garden. But a lot of people on this estate do not. there isn't anything added. There are 4 benches there, a frugal amount of benches. They're all isolated. They don't have any communal, spirit about what's happening at all. Another big thing is 18 car parking spaces. 18. If you go to East Town Park, I think it's just slightly more than 18 for a huge development with a warden, toilets, large walking area and so on. I question whether we need that for the local area, and would it not be better employed as extra landscaping or somewhere for activities to happen. I think that's the other thing is, it seems, and I could be wrong about this, it seemed in the play area that had it grass seeded underneath the play equipment, which would be absolute disaster and probably unusable for 3 months in a year at least. You need proper ground under there. It says, if you look at the plan, it says a seeded area, and it seems to go under the play equipment. So I think that's some of our main concerns and objections, and we feel there's been some attempt to improve what they've done. I don't think they've listened to what you said at the town council meeting going back in August. There was a lot of very good comments made then, or to comments made by many residents too, which are on the site, and I don't think they've really been addressed. And I think they're my main points. Thank you.
Yeah, well, thanks, Anne, for taking the time to go through all the documents and obviously sending your comments. That is really appreciated.
Thank you.
Would anyone else like to speak on that? Is that Elaine? Oh, sorry, Michael first. Sorry.
No. Yes, good evening. We are not directly affected by this application, but we have, as we've been following the whole development, it's only right that we feel that we would add our comments to the point is that this has not yet been resolved. Originally, this was separated off from a much larger application regarding the infrastructure, and it was said at the time, and we're going back to midsummer, that this was to allow it to go through quickly. We're now into December, and we still have not got this. I would maybe a bit cynical application. Is this the reason why it's been delayed? This was a chance to do something really good for the new community which has moved in and provide a central point before the new centre is built and the other open spaces which are in the plans. There's been many comments and suggestions from both yourself, the councillors, and members of the public, and these have largely been ignored by the developer. It's a known fact that sports pitches are not urgently required, but what we would like is a green, open space for all ages, and we would rather have it now than much later. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. Much appreciated. Has anyone else got any comment? Joe?
Thank you, Chair. Where to begin? Okay, so I called this in, which has probably led to a delay because Persimmon were quite keen to kind of review and make some modifications to the plans because I called it in. The current status is still that I've called it in. I'm still trying to evaluate grounds on which that could still be justified. I think there's scope for some recommendations that I would encourage the Town Council to consider regarding maybe an act of goodwill regarding Persimmon putting in picnic benches that would add community facility to this amenity. I think the reasoning for the car park, for me, it's a sports facility that has been poorly conceived. I'm perfectly happy for it to be both football pitches and a shared community open space. Football will not be going on 24/7 all of the time. And indeed, I see rounders matches taking place there and it being an open space for children to enjoy, regardless of whether it's marked out as a football pitch or not. I think the open space is naturally multifunctional, regardless of any markings that may be on it. Now, the size of a car park was interesting because I asked about this and they said, yes, but if a team arrives, we don't want cars to be parked on the road. So that's why they've allocated spaces. So suddenly it stops being a recreational area for a football pitch for boys or girls to come along and knock around. And it's then kind of designated as a sports pitch, which as a junior pitch, the centre bit is junior, and then there's another pitch set within it, which is smaller. I'm not entirely sure it would have much appeal to teams anyway. Now, when this all started, I was quite excited as a ward member because on the North Ward, as I've said before, there's no clubs or organisations that I can actually give my locality money to. Now, of course, I can give locality money to other organisations across the town, but you're always looking in your ward first to see what you can support. So initially, I was quite excited about, well, could it be a facility, a kind of a small sports facility that could support a small grassroots football team? But we are well covered in town. So this sports pitch, car park to support teams, but I don't see teams using that. It's kind of falling between two houses, really. Is it a community space or is it a sports pitch? But I don't see it being used as a sports pitch. The fact that whether it's a pitch or not, I still think there is facility in the amenity of it being a green open space, and I don't see that football actually dominating that. So, I mean, I would urge the town council to possibly, whatever your position is, just to request whether, as an act of goodwill, Persimmon could consider the inclusion of some additional picnic spaces so that it encourages families to make use of that green space. I don't see that that is beyond the realms of reason. As regards for changing rooms, I think we're well supported with changing facilities across the town. And then there's the issue of who's going to be the key holder, who's going to look after the upkeep. And it's the same issue with the toilets. Quite often children, if they do play a match, they arrive in their kit. They don't need to change. And quite often many pitches don't have toilet facilities anyway. And then there's the issue of, okay, well, who's going to be the key holder for toilets? Very rarely are there ever toilets that are open to the public all of the time in these sorts of facilities. So I'm struggling what to kind of make up as a decision, as a way forward. As a green space, I think it works quite nicely. I think more could be done to make it benefit the community as a whole. And I think we've heard residents voice that opinion tonight, but I think that's within the scope of Persimmon's generosity to actually provide that extra provision. I like the car park. It future-proofs it. So if at some point in the future, changing rooms or toilets were put in, we wouldn't need necessarily an additional car park. Am I disappointed with the play area? I am a little bit. It seems to be pitched a little bit towards the younger children, as opposed to some activities that older children quite often like. I didn't request it, but a zip wire seems to be missing in terms of something that might appeal to some of the older children. But I'm not sure that's grounds enough in itself for objecting to these revised plans that are put forward. I'll be very interested to hear your comments, councillors. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Mason. Councillor Liz Smith.
Yeah, something I think we really need in Haverhill, speaking to some of the residents recently who live on the Clement, so it's not in the North Ward, but what's lacking in Haverhill is any provision for play equipment for people with disabilities. or children with disabilities. If they want something like that, they have to travel outside of Haverhill. I can't remember where it was. There was one, Sudbury, I think. I can't remember. It's quite a way away. So I wondered whether the planning officers should be looking at perhaps providing something like that within Haverhill, and this would be an ideal place to do so. Or, you know, the other developments, say Red Row, when they come to develop their open spaces. So we do lack play equipment for people with disabilities. Thank you.
Thank you, Liz. Joe, John.
Yes, sorry, just to come back on that. Firstly, as a county councillor, I'd very much be willing to support that anywhere across Haverhill to explore the possibility. I think it's shocking that children with disabilities don't have a play area that caters for them, notwithstanding. There was one other thing that I wanted to mention, and that's provision for girls. In particular, I mean, certainly boys like to play football, and indeed girls like to play football. But I have had a chat already with the planning officer regarding the school, and they're looking for some quite innovative ideas. They've already started the planning for a shared community asset that would be hireable, which would be like a netball court at the school. So just because there isn't netball courts currently within these plans doesn't mean that they won't be in future plans, and we just need to make sure that both boys and girls, I mean, boys can play netball as well, but boys and girls are supported with a range of recreational activities within this huge development that caters for so many people. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. John?
I think you need to go back to basics. This smacks of a West Suffolk officer dictating to us what we want in this town. The master plan, which I worked on quite a few years ago now, yes, it had a football pitch there, but at the time we didn't have the football facilities that we have now at New Crafton, at Pottsfield and elsewhere. You know, we know full well that master plans can change, as we saw with phase 1 with that road coming in, Bevis Close coming out onto the A143. So it looks to me like whoever's responsible for this, and I do know who it probably is certainly not consulted with anybody locally. They've just decided what we need rather than what really is going to be needed by residents, and not just residents, anybody around that area. If it's a good like little play park, you know, it could be that the people from the Great Willesey on the western side of the Great Willesey may want to pop across the road and you know, have things. I think the field should not be marked out as a football pitch at all. You know, we're isolating all those other sports that could go there, and it will be dominated, as been said, by footballers of either sex, I suspect. So I think times have changed since that master plan was done some 7-8 years ago, and it was first designed 12 years ago. Things have moved on in the town. So I really think that perhaps the town council should be actually saying to West Suffolk is, talk to us on our sports provision. We see it with S106 for leisure. How many times as an officer said we want X amount of money and I'm going to decide how we spend it, and the first thing we know about it is when all the plans have been out for tender and we've been built something that nobody really wants, or we don't know who's been consulted or anything. So I really think the committee may want to think about actually saying to the officers over at West Suffolk, talk to us. I mean, the planting, yeah and no, that also smacks of somebody not really understanding what it is we've got here. And it just bugs me intensely that especially over the last 2 years, that officers have just failed to talk to any members locally, or even more importantly, the local people who already live on that estate or will be living on that estate, and including you know, the Boyton, call it Boyton Hall area. Thank you very much.
Thanks, John. Jason?
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I'm mostly with what Joe had to say. Grass is grass. Just because you put a white line around it, it turns into a football pitch. It's just a field. It's grass. As for the car park, I think you need the car park. You just look at Mott's Field. The amount of cars you get at Mott's Field in the evening is absolutely ridiculous. So you do need a little car park. Else you'll have them all over the road. Secondly, we're letting Persimmon off lightly here. You know, if we don't want a toilet block and changing rooms, Persimmon are saving a hell of a lot of money by not providing that facility. So in return, surely we should be asking for a better play area, because Persimmon aren't putting up toilets or changing rooms. So the least they can do, as the ward members, as Joe says, is put some picnic benches and a zip wire, because they're getting off lightly by not providing the toilets or changing room. Thank you, Chair.
Thanks, Councillor Crooks. Go to Anne again, please.
Can I just say, I can understand the passion for having a football pitch marked out. If you mark out that area, anytime you've got boys in there, or girls, but mainly be boys, they will dominate that area and other people will be pushed to the sides. I think if you just kept it as an open space, when I was young, people just took out the sweaters to make a goalpost and they enjoyed a bit of footy. We don't need a formally marked out pitch, which costs money to maintain more than just a grassed area. I mean, I do have something here which you probably can't see, but the idea, why does it have to be a rectangle? Could it not be a circle? Could we not have a wall, some netball posts in one area, picnic area here, or another area here for children to play? It could be marked out. So you've got smaller areas, but you still have a bit of a football pitch. I think we have to accept, if you put a football pitch there, sometimes it'll be clear, other times there will be a full football match going on and it will dominate and the ball goes everywhere and it affects other people. Just by keeping it, not formally recognised, that people will be more considerate. That would be my view. But also, if you look at the new design, they've angled it round so it's completely plunked right in the middle. Whereas it would appear to me, unless something to do with the ground, where it could be put to one side. At least do that. Consider putting it to the side so you've got more of an area for other people. This is a community space. Some people do not have gardens, they don't have anywhere else to go. It can't be just, and I agree, it could be used for other things than football. You mark it out as a football pitch, that would be the dominant thing. That would be, 18 car park spaces is huge. I understand what you're saying about not having, but I mean, if you're not having formal big football matches there, you won't need 18 spaces for that small area. It will be, I don't know what you need, but it seems huge. I mean, East Town Park, how many's that got?
Yeah, I know that they're trying to increase the car park.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a much bigger facility, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
huge.
it's well
and
used.
most of the time you go, you can get parked actually, but that is massive. It's a huge natural walking area and wardens and everything. It's not the space here. So it doesn't need a similar amount of parking space, in my view. Anyway, thank you very much for listening again. Sorry.
Yeah. Thanks, Anne. Thanks again. Okay, committee. Anyone else for any more comments on that? Right, way forward. Have we got anyone with any proposals at all? Oh, sorry, Michael. I didn't see.
Sorry, it was just, I just wanted to add a couple of points regarding the car park. There was, when I was going through the notes, there was someone that suggested, or not suggested, said there should be a on the car park.
I'm afraid you're breaking up, Michael.
I looked at the amended plans. Looking at the plans, the car park should have a height barrier. But it was suggested by one of the consultees, but it doesn't appear on the latest amendment. The other thing was the paths.
Sorry, we lost you again, Michael.
Leading on to a number of, sorry, got bad internet connection.
Yeah.
Tonight. I'll just take video.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
I can hear you
Just
now.
a question of the pedestrian.
No, we're still losing, I'm afraid. I don't know if you could email your points over to Vicky or.
Just a question of pedestrian entrance. Okay.
Yeah.
Not to worry.
Yeah. I mean, if you could possibly just email, Vicky, and she distribute your comments to the committee, and hopefully we can take them on board. Yeah. All right there, Brad. Yeah.
Quietly, I need to say something, I think. I'm just listening to what everybody's saying, and particularly to John's comments. I just wonder why we can't have some sort of working party which actually consists of some of the residents around here who have some good ideas, really, and the town council, and all of that can be done really quickly, and we could get this thing up and running for the people who live up there. I mean, they've been stuck for 3 years without any facilities, and I mean, it's a while since I walked up there, but it was still a heap of soil. I think it could be a car park or something now, but so just another proposal, really, of a way forward with it. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, Alan.
Thank you, Chair. I think Isaac Jolly's email did say that the gate had been removed for the car park in favour of a height barrier. So that's something we subject to confirmation that is actually what is on the plan. Difficult to read though it is. Perhaps that's something we don't need to mention, because he has stated at least that is planned. Thank you.
Okay. Right. Sorry, Dave.
I think that was in the email that was sent to us by Vicky, but I don't think it's actually on the amendments that's on the planning portal. So it may be something they're intended to do, but it's not actually officially lodged.
Yeah, it may be something that we need to highlight. Yeah. Okay. Right. We've got a lot of comments, and the way forward, personally, I think is that we should object to the existing plans, and John and Brad came up with the best idea. Really, is that we need them to come and talk to the town council and residents. Let's get this right before anything gets started. We need to get it right. And one of the critical things up there is that what it really is going to need is drainage. No one really thinks of drainage, but that's heavy clay land up there, and a whole lot needs to be drained. Otherwise, it'll be totally unusable for virtually 6 months of the year, potentially. So that's something, that will cost a lot of money, but it's something that's critical. That it needs to be done. That's heavy clay land up there, and we suffer with that on various other sports pitches and recreation areas around the town, where you can't really use it to its full extent because it gets so waterlogged. So that's one of the critical things that we need to highlight, is that whatever happens up there, the whole lot's got to be drained, and we need them to come and speak to us. There's some fantastic ideas here. Great stuff from Anne, Brad, Michael, and council members. So, like John said, instead of stuff being imposed on us, it'd be great if the officers that are concerned with this, came over and we could all sort of get around a table and come up with, ideas. So that's what I'm proposing anyway. objection for those reasons. I don't know if we've got a seconder. That's all. Yeah, Alan. Show of hands, please. I think that's unanimous. Thank you, Vicky. Thanks, everyone. That was a good little debate on that, and thanks for everyone's comments and taking time to come along. It's really appreciate it. That's what gets these things done properly. Yeah, thank you. Okay, we'll move on to item 4, which is tree preservation order, 2 Sycamore, T1 and T2 on plan and order, crown reduction in height by up to 4 meters and lateral crown reduction by up to 2 meters to previous pruning points. 1 Sycamore, T3 on plan and order, crown reduction in height by up to 4 meters and lateral crown reduction by up to 2 meters. And this is from Claire Quinn of Haverhill Housing, and it's at 8 Treefall Court. Has anyone got any comments on that one? Jason?
Proposed neutral. Thank you.
Do we have a seconder for that, please? Bruce? And a show of hands, please. Yeah, that's unanimous. Thank you. Okay, I think that's all the agenda items. Now move on to matters to report. John.
I was going to say, no, I haven't got anything to report, but I will now.
Yeah.
Vixen Public House. The owners have finally contacted West Suffolk. West Suffolk have agreed that the little bit of demolition they did at the back makes the planning application extinct, which means that they can continue with their existing things. But they've obviously got to talk to West Suffolk about the fact they've got no right of way across the car park. They've got to sort out the shoring up of Millfields Way with something substantial to stop it falling in on the premises when they try and dig out more car parking. They've obviously got to do all the lighting in the car park, resurface it, reline it. So it's going to cost them a little bit of money to do that. Personally, I suggested to them they may want to just think again, and maybe knock the thing down and start afresh with a nice thing. I'm still very keen. We have a couple of small shops there, hopefully not takeaways again, but is one of those things that unfortunately we seem to be getting all over the town at the moment. There's something that people on the estate can have, hairdressers or something like that. So we're waiting to see what happens. Okay, no, I don't know if you got that.
Thanks, John.
Vicky's not here.
No, it's right. I'm here.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, okay, I can see you now.
Okay. Any other items to report? Dave? For choke?
Just there's a couple of things that we've commented on before as committee has come to being myself and Jason as the board members. One of them was the Hazel Close place again, which we spoke about recently. Apparently they're doing away with the balcony now. So as far as the planning office is concerned, that seems to be okay now, but I'm still concerned about the fact that they're building bedrooms in the loft space as well, and it's just a total overdevelopment, and there's going to be more cars on a road that can't accept take it. So I'll probably comment that I'm still not happy with it.
Yeah, cheers Dave for that. Anyone else with any other matters to report? No. Okay. Move on to item 10. Date of the next meeting is Tuesday, 21st of December 2021 at 7 p.m. That's it. Thanks everyone for attending and putting up with me in my first chairmanship of planning committee. So, cheers.